Hello and welcome to the show. Recently, I had the opportunity to have a conversation with David Banner. As many of you know, I don't really call my sessions interviews, I actually call them conversations. And that's exactly what it was with David Banner. We just jumped on Skype and had a conversation. But I think there's some things in this conversation that you can really benefit from. So today, I want to share part one of this conversation with you. Yeah, it is a part one and part two to it. It actually started out supposed to be about a 20-minute conversation, and it ended up being over an hour. So today I'm going to share part one with you. We'll come back at another time and actually share part two. Take a look at this and let me know what you think. Jump online, go to chrishowellonline.com, shoot me some feedback. Let me know what you think about it. Take a look at this. Enjoy.
Yeah,
So you doing okay?
and I'm better than I've ever been in my life,
I
bro.
hear you, man. On a Monday, huh?
No problems, man.
Typically on a Friday, that's the case for me. Not typically on Mondays, though.
No, man, I get to live my dreams and things that I want to do every day of my life, man. And I
Yeah,
started noticing, bro, like we have expectations for life,
yeah,
and we become so greedy.
man.
You know, man, just about everything. Well, I can say everything in my life that I've ever aspired to do, I've done it at some level.
Let's talk about that. Let's get into it then. I mean, because certainly I want to, and I want to really pick up right there because I was going to ask you to start by telling us exactly who you are, but I want to continue in that vein where you are right now. You've been able to accomplish a lot of the things that you set out to accomplish in your life. Let's talk about how went about accomplishing those things.
Um, I put myself in positions where if I didn't accomplish my job or the things that I set out to do, I wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
I think one thing that has happened to middle class black people is that we're too scared to lose what we've accomplished.
Mm.
And I started studying that in most cases, very successful people come from either very impoverished backgrounds or very what's my favorite new word, they come from uh let's just say wealth.
Okay.
Just say they come from wealth, and when I say wealth, I don't mean just rich, but wealth. And wealth is acquired by generations. So acquiring wealth through generations means that they have knowledge of currency,
Right.
how to attain it and keep it, so they can teach their kids what to do. I didn't have those kind of people around me, so I sort of put myself in a situation because I was homeless, and the things that many of your listeners may know about who know me. I was sleeping in my van when I became a millionaire.
Yeah.
Um, so for the most part, I did very well in college. I had 3.987 in the University of Maryland with, I was in an accelerated master's program.
Hmm.
People always talk about what I did in the streets, and a lot of that, yeah, I did it, but America has a way of never talking about the accomplishments or the positive aspects of young black men.
Right.
Dropped out of school a semester and a thesis away from my master's degree because I knew that I had to burn all the bridges. And after about a little while, things started turning around.
So what do you mean when you say you knew you had to burn all the bridges?
um I read a lot, and there's this book that talked about there's this book called Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
And they said they were talking about this general who was going into war, and they were on boats,
Hmm.
and he saw that some of his followers were wanting to turn back, and it was 5,000 fighting against about 15,000.
Uh,
And so he told the soldiers right up under him to burn all the boats. Then he looked at everybody and said, if you guys are going to go home, you're going to go home through them.
right.
So that's sort of what I did. If I was not successful through my dream, then nothing else would happen for me. And I believe that whatever you believe in, whether it's God or the universe or whatever you may believe in, I don't believe the Most High will let you suffer if you've done all that you can possibly do. But
Man.
in most cases, when people complain about success, their success probably didn't come because they didn't give 100%. We pray and we beg and all of that kind of stuff. But I believe, in my belief
Mm-hmm.
system, that all God should have to do is give you vision. Once
Right.
you're born and you have sound mind and sound body, the rest is up to you.
Yeah, you've got to put in the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you talked about, making sure you had to burn the bridges, you were talking about the fact of not becoming complacent once you obtain that degree and become like you just talked about so many people are today.
But no, I never got my master's degree. I was a semester and a thesis away. What happened was I felt mentally like I was at that point where, because I basically went to school for my mother.
Okay.
My mother like would put up the house to get money for me to go and travel and do talent shows and stuff. And the only thing she ever asked me was to get my undergrad degree. That
Mm-hmm.
was payment for all the sacrifices she made. And then a lot of times we don't have an opportunity to truly pay our parents back. And that's all
Right.
she ever asked me to do.
Yeah.
So I did it, and then I found out once I got to college how important it actually was. And see, I think they should tell kids, especially from the hood, I got an $80,000 scholarship to the University of Maryland.
Man.
I told kids you can make $80,000 and want to go to school, they'll get their ass off that corner and get a school book. I promise. I was like, yo, they're giving money to pay attention. What?
So exactly, how did you get this scholarship, David? Tell us that.
Um, I've always been a smart
Yes.
child. Now that I'm older and I've crushed a lot of my ego and a lot of the stuff that I learned in the streets. I think if life would have given me other choices, I think I would have been in physics, or I would have probably been a scientist or something like that. Now that I know me and I go inward and I meditate, music interests me because that was one of the only things that's given to a kid in the hood.
Yeah.
And it was creative, and it took me away from gang violence. When I was in high school, my city was the murder capital of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So music was an escape for me. And you have so many politicians and church folks that criticize some of the violent rap. Tupac said this one time. He said, "I talk about the stuff so I won't do it in real life."
Man.
And we let white people do horror movies, and Arnold Schwarzenegger could kill up half of the world, and then he can go and be in politics. But we do anything creative, and we put our own people in constraints.
Man.
I think if these kids are making music, music isn't against the law. Now I do believe that we need balance,
Right.
but kids are not going to do nothing that black folks don't buy.
Hmm.
So we have to change the mentality of the culture and not criticize these kids for talking about the stuff that they see every day. I told Congress, I said, if you want me to rap about roses, come to the hood and plant some. You won't do that, will you?
Man. That was a challenge now, wasn't it? So any roses been planted since?
No, sir. I like it. I like it.
And no one's on the way with them, are they? Man. Okay, so let's go back a little bit because you talked about music and the influence, and you certainly, man, I mean, just looking at your following, you have been able to really express the frustrations and the hope and the potential that young people feel they have through your music and through your platforms that you've built in the time that you've been out here. So let's talk about, first of all, I'm looking at you, I see a little gray in that beard.
Oh, as a matter of fact, they used to say it's salt and pepper. The pepper gone.
But I say that to only say you still remain so relevant to so many young people. Many times when we get that gray in our beard, we can't relate to them. How can you continue to relate to them and stay where they are?
First of all, most of the super successful rappers are older than me, but they lie.
Right.
I wanted kids to see, America has taken away our culture. Like, even if you look at the record labels, the heads of the record labels, they're old.
Yes.
But they make us think that music has to be young, so they can keep these artists dumb, and so that they won't know anything, and they won't want new contracts. Man, what they signing these kids for now, we used to do videos for.
Man.
You know, so they take the older people out of the music, so they won't relay these messages to the children. So we won't be on tour together. So me and A$AP Rocky won't be on tour together, and I'm talking to him about, you know, what happened to me when I was his age, and telling him who are the real lawyers who are not double dipping with the labels and serving both sides of the table.
Yeah.
So they don't want to talk to these children. So what I did is I stopped using Beijing. I stopped dyeing my beard on purpose. I wanted to be the first successful rapper to grow up and let these kids see that I'm grown and that I can still relate to them and I can still make jam and music. Because what's sad is the Rolling Stones will probably die tomorrow, and white folks still can do their music forever.
Right.
See, we listen to what they tell us, and then we limit ourselves. And I tell these kids, y'all keep talking about young. Dying and getting old is the only two things that you can't stop.
Man.
So why would you even put them constraints on yourself? So I did this on purpose. I could cut my beard off, or I can Beijing my beard, but I did this as a sign that I am the man that you can come to if you need some young artist, and I'm still jamming.
Right.
And another thing, man, is I want people to start being okay with being themselves. You know, I've seen some people dye their beard white because of me, and I tell them, now don't do that. Because once it starts, brother, it's going to be hard.
What's say? Don't make yourself old before your time now.
Yeah.
Earn that. You got to earn those gray beards.
Right. Most of this is stress.
Hey, but you know what, man? It's a blessing, though. It's a blessing to have a gray beard because, you know, again, coming from where we come from, I mean, the other alternative was an early death. So to be able to have a gray beard today is a tremendous blessing.
Yeah, I told this young rapper one time he was getting a little bit beside himself, and I don't think he knew the old David Banner.
Yeah.
And he was talking about my beard. I said, you keep talking like that, you might not have an opportunity to get a gray beard. I don't know if I can say that kind of stuff on your show.
No. Say, don't make me go back to the old David Banner. I think he understood and he moved on.
I think he did, too.
Kind of like Congress about those roses.
I'm not a small guy either, brother.
Hello, I'm Chris Howell. The Chris Howell Foundation's mission is to raise awareness regarding HIV and AIDS in communities where risk is at its highest. We've had the opportunity to host a number of events right here in Dallas County. And with those events have turned out great with testing opportunities as well as raising awareness and education to those who've attended. We could really use your support in carrying this mission further. We want to do more events not only in Dallas, but in other communities as well. Go to the website and then consider making a donation at chrishowellfoundation.org. We could really use your support. David, let's talk, man. I mean, you've got a lot going on. I mean, we talked about the fact that you're relevant and you're really impacting young people. You're traveling throughout the country and you're on this lecture series that you're really going around educating our young people. Let's talk about that and what led you down that road.
It's called the God Box Lecture Series. It's named after my album. And what I realized is that we complain about the state of our children, but what I realized, our children are a direct reflection of what we did or did not teach them.
Man.
If you look at the middle class of rap, when rap stopped selling, and the reason why I believe rap stopped selling is I believe that Black people have bought into the so-called American dream, and I think the American dream is laced with white supremacy. America became the conglomerate that it is through free labor, through slavery. So I look at rap, and rap is not selling, not because of the internet. EDM is still selling, rock is still selling, country is still selling. The reason why rap and R&B is not selling anymore, because most Black people don't like being Black, and they won't admit it. I look at your hair, I look at, the words that you use. You know, the word nigga is the most wretched word as it pertains to black people in the English language.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that as a term of endearment.
Right.
You can use infinitely any word besides that word. Why do black people choose it? It's because that's what white slave masters called us
Right.
themselves. So what I realize is with these children, if I expect them to purchase and jam my music, um, it's my responsibility to enlighten them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even if I have to go city to city, and I did something, I'm doing the opposite of what most artists do when they blow. Most artists don't want to go to World Star. They don't want to go to Ebony. They don't want to go to Jet, you know, because they think white is right. I want to talk to my people. Even
Right.
though I want this album to sell globally, I make music for black people.
Right.
You know, everybody try to lie and cater to everybody else. Everybody, even think about a television station. Look at like conglomerates. Look at like CW. CW started off with black shows, and as soon as they got their constituency, it's Buffy the Vampire. You barely see black folks on the CW.
That is so
Look,
true.
look at most of these music channels. They start off with videos, and or they go get something like Good Times, and they play it a million times because they know that black folks love that, and we'll watch that in Soul Train up until they get their numbers up. Then they start doing white programming.
Hmm.
And I'm tired of people using my people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So just to answer your question quickly, I started going from city to city, and this young lady named Jasmine Kimball, she called me from Birmingham and said, "We need somebody down here to come talk to these men. I need you to come talk to these men." And I said, "Listen, sister, after Katrina, because a lot happened to me with my philanthropy with Katrina, and I was doing more philanthropy than I was making money, and
Yes.
I ended up nearly broke, and all the good stuff that I did, black folks really didn't rally around me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when God showed me that you do what's right because it's the right thing, not
Man.
because you think that you're gonna get back.
Yes.
But what ended up being given to me is I became more than a rapper to people. Like even though I was hurting financially, people, especially black people, got a kinsmanship with me.
Mm-hmm.
And they started seeing me as more than a rapper. So when I told her that, I was like, we got to make us some money. I'm not going to die broke like Malcolm and Martin,
Right.
you know. And so she said, well, let's set up a lecture series like they used to do back in the day. She said, because if you notice, think about the places where the movements really started. You know, Birmingham, Jackson, Mississippi, Little Rock, Arkansas. We don't even go back to those places.
Hmm.
And we say people don't want consciousness or good things, but we don't offer it to them. We
Right.
assume.
Particularly in those areas.
See that that's a lie. And I'm going to those places first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when something breaks with David Banner, I'm running back to our people. And then they're going to have to wait in line. So like the bigger cities, I'm making them wait. We're going to go to our people first, and we're going to let it expand. And I'm going to tell you, whenever you come see me speak, it's going to be 500 to 1,000 people.
Yes.
And it's growing every day. It's rap. It looks like a rap concert, and I ain't doing nothing but lecture.
Man.
Lecture.
Not one song the entire time. Just straight educating people.
Educate. You know, I may drop some lyrics, but you know, it's we're learning. It's not just them. I'm learning from the crowd, just like they're learning from me.
Right. I want to go to something. You said something a moment ago about these television stations. And I don't want to talk about Snoop as much as I want to just talk about, I guess, the message that he put out. A couple of weeks ago, it was in the news that, when I guess the Roots series aired. And Snoop put out a Instagram video talking about the fact, encouraging people really not to watch shows such as this. What are your thoughts regarding shows such, not necessarily what Snoop said, but shows such as Roots? What are your thoughts regarding those?
I agree with Snoop. It's cool to be educated. It's cool, you know, but see, you have other cultures who they can talk about their atrocities, but they have other things to balance them off.
Yeah.
They have movies. It's like, bro, we didn't have which I was in the Butler. We didn't have the Butler. We didn't have 12 Years a Slave. We didn't have Lincoln. We didn't have. It was like 7 movies back to back.
Yeah, and there's 3 or 4 more lined up to come out.
What they're really doing is telling you still our slaves. And I really believe deep in the heart of powerful white folks, they still think we're their kids and their slaves. So you mean to tell me all this money that people like John Legend have to do so many? Why can't we be superheroes?
Yeah.
Because to most black people, Jesus ain't black, Superman ain't black, Spider-Man ain't black, Batman ain't black, Flash, Wonder Woman ain't black. So you wonder why it's so easy for these kids to kill each other, because they don't see God.
Right.
Black folks don't kill nobody but themselves for the most part. And when most black people see white folks, in the back of their mind, they see Jesus.
Man.
So we're going to have to start showing better images. You are what you think, right?
Right. You're absolutely right.
But you think what you see and hear.
So again, so you're saying, folks, I think the argument was, well, there are the Holocaust films and the Jews, they don't say don't watch those type of films, that type of thing. But to your point, there you have a balance out.
Because they own everything.
Right. That's what I was going to say. They have something to balance it out, like you pointed out
right.
there. But because we have no balance, you're saying, again, there's no need to keep putting that into your minds, into your psyche, because you have nothing to balance it out with.
Right. And we can pull the old movies. We done already did Roots. Why we can't do, like, again, why we can't do any? Think about this. This is the sad thing. And remember what I told you earlier, that most black people don't like being black?
Right.
Isn't it sad that even when black people get money and do movies, we still do violent movies about ourselves? We still do slave movies? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting. And this is no shot at John Legend, because I think John Legend is a wonderful dude. But imagine him having that opportunity, you know, to do something else, and he chooses to do slave narratives. Yeah. Now, it's a better slave narrative, but it's not a Nat Turner.
Yeah, yeah.
If it ain't about Nat Turner, if it ain't about Harriet Tubman, I don't want to see it.
So do you think it's because, again, not having ownership, you know, he still, while he has some money, he still has to cater to the studio to get distribution, things of that nature? And so until we have some ownership and can distribute our own projects and things of that nature.
If we step out and draw a line, we'd never have ownership.
Man. Okay.
So because once you get hooked to doing something, like, imagine if I would have kept saying, well, all right, I'm going to keep doing gangster music and calling out women, I make it to where I need, then I would never have been where I am today. At some point, black people have to draw a line. And it's funny because white people are always criticized when we rise up, but that's what the American Revolution was all about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you've never seen white people all around this world gain anything nicely or slowly. Mm-hmm. You know, we want America. Native Americans,
yeah, you're right.
We want black folks, you know. So for me, at some point, you're gonna have to stand. You know, and you hear all of these fables and all of these stories, and people always wearing stuff with what would Jesus do? You know, would Jesus take a short for something evil? Nah. So if you're going to teach me and tell me about all that stuff, give me an example of that. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. And as grown men and women, we're going to have to start making those choices, or not criticize our kids when they sell dope.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You talked about God Box. It's set to release, August 19th?
I don't really know. It's gonna come out when I'm mad at me now.
Man, you got the people, man, just panning at the box waiting on this now. I mean, you've got the lecture series going out. I mean, tell us what's the holdup on it?
There's several holdups. First of all, I'm one of the few artists that I pay for everything.
Yes.
I pay for everything because and I'm gonna be very open with you and very candid with the things that I'm talking about. I wouldn't expect them to support that anyway. I mean, even if they, you know, don't mind what I'm talking about, like, you know, that's like a white kid coming to me, you know, using the N-word every time he rap. I'm not putting my money behind that. Mm-hmm. So I don't expect them to put money behind freedom music. When you say them,
who's them?
White folks.
Oh, okay. No, but I mean, your fans are saying they're like, "Hey, when is God Box coming out?"
I was explaining the reason why I kept pushing it back.
Okay.
For everything, And we're in a culture where a lot of these kids have grown up without buying anything.
Yeah.
And what we don't understand, if we keep getting free stuff, that keeps us in a slave mentality. Because nothing in this world, I don't care what it is, nothing is free.
Absolutely. Right.
Nothing is free. And the things that are free, you only get one of them.
Yeah, and it's free to you, but it costs someone something.
No, it costs, and it's not free to you either. Because think about this. With all the free music, Black people are losing their culture. You can't get no money in the record deal no more. All your record stores have closed down. Like basically, you gonna do what Apple tell you to do.
Yeah.
You don't even own your own music no more,
Man.
even if you do buy it.
Yes.
So you're gonna have to pay for it. You know. But the thing that I say, one, I want this to be right. I want people to be to the point, if they don't pick up this record, it's just not their type of music. It's not that it's bad music. They just, this is something that they don't personally engage in. And I want our generation and the kids to really be proud of me. Even one song, one of my songs, I literally have a symphony orchestra, like the same guy that scored Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 and Passion of the Christ. He literally scored the end. It's a real composition. It's not a sample.
Yes.
We say that we want these kids to do better music, but you have to have somebody to give them an example of better music. And when music stopped selling, all the talented Black people, for the most part, we left and started doing movies or acting or we went and got a regular job or opened up a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
Somebody has to come back. And so I can't afford to let this album just be a download or something that's real hot and people just like. So until I feel like the people are putting their money where their mouth is, because I already have, I'm gonna hold it.
Yes. I really respect that, man. I mean, the fact that you today in a time where so many people are running away from being a role model, you stand up and you say, yeah, I do want the young people to look to me, to respect me, because I'm going to live what I talk about.
Wait, but let me tell you this. We have to be careful with that.
Okay.
It depends what role you want your child to play in society. I want my child to be a revolutionary. You may not want that from your child. Mm-hmm. Some people want their child to be quiet and safe. I would rather my child to be a man and die early.
Yeah.
If there's a choice between
for standing up for what he believes in.
Exactly. As long as it's right.
Yes.
And for me, that's what I tell people. Like, you have to be careful when people say role models, because a lot of people that these folks put in front of our television and a lot of people that they say are our leaders, they're not our leaders. They're people that they put or planted into our communities so that they can push their agenda. So like, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm a role model for everybody's child, but people will be able to say that I am a Black alpha male.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
And I stand for what I stand for.
Coming up on the next episode of The Chris Howell Show with guest David Banner.
I do believe the one thing that we do get right when we pray is that we close our eyes.